What do you do when life gets uncomfortable? Discomfort's not going away this side of the grave, so we better get used to it. Even better, on today's episode, you'll learn how to use discomfort to become the person you were made to be and live the life you were made to live. This is Andrew Petty is Dying, where we tap into the power of our mortality to become the people we were made to be and live the lives we were made to live. I'm your host, Andrew Petty, and I'm dying. I hate to say it, but so are you. I was uncomfortable a lot this past week. My last episode featured Joe Harcel, a friend and mentor who actually died for 30 minutes 3 years ago after experiencing sudden cardiac death. Then, remarkably, came back to life for no apparent reason. As I said in that episode, that sudden cardiac death scenario is literally my worst nightmare, the scenario that can trigger intense anxiety in me. So it was a pretty big exercise in facing my fears to have that conversation with Joe. I'm so glad we did, by the way. What a story, and so many important lessons for all of us from his experience. Then, for several days last week, I had weird sensations in my chest that I couldn't ignore and couldn't explain. Anxiety began to have its way, and I was mentally and emotionally compromised for the entire day on Friday. Just ask my wife, she'll tell you. I finally went to the doctor and emerged with nothing conclusive. I had to begin practicing what Joe talked about, embracing the mystery and uncertainty of life. It was a lot of weight on the bar for me, and it didn't feel great lifting it. Slowly but surely, though, over the years, I've been upgrading my relationship with discomfort. As much as the discomfort of the last week was, well, uncomfortable and honestly unwanted, I know that it can make me stronger, more resilient, and more prepared for life's future challenges if I lean into it, harness it, and use it. I want to pause here for a moment. Anxiety is a consistent source of discomfort for me. But what is it for you? Before we go on, take a moment to think of one of the most common sources of discomfort in your life. Call it by name, and keep it in mind throughout the rest of this episode. All right, let's keep moving. I spent 2 years during middle school in Southern California in an amazing little beachside community. One of the most exciting things we did as a family during those 2 years was sail from Long Beach Harbor to Catalina Island, one of California's Channel Islands and a popular tourist destination since the 1920s, when chewing gum magnate William Wrigley Jr. began developing it. My mom, sister, and I were all new to sailing. My dad was the most seasoned sailor among us, with a newly minted captain's license as proof. It turns out, sailing is a treasure trove of metaphors for life. Here's one of them. Assuming the vessel itself is seaworthy, a sailboat needs a couple of things in order to serve its purpose: the forces of wind and water. These forces are essential, not optional. Without them, you're not sailing, you're just sitting on a boat. The fastest point of sail, that is, the direction you're sailing relative to the direction of the wind, is called a beam reach. On a beam reach, you're sailing perpendicular to the wind, or across it. Often, a beam reach is the most direct way to get from point A to point B. Simple enough, right? The funny thing about a beam reach, though, is that it can make for especially rough sailing. The force of the wind blowing across the boat causes the boat to lean over or heel over, as the sails catch the wind and convert it into forward motion. The pulleys and cables and other rigging components pop and groan. The sails are stretched taut. The boat travels across the waves, so the bow digs into them and spray flies across the deck. It's wet, windy, and noisy. As a rookie sailor, I remember the beam reach as an uncomfortable, stressful experience. It didn't feel okay. Could the boat and the rigging take that kind of stress and strain? Would the boat flip over? Was it really necessary to stay on that point of sail? Why weren't we doing everything we could to make it a more relaxed and peaceful ride? A more seasoned sailor on the same beam reach, though, says, "We're good. In fact, we're better than good. This is the best way to sail to get where we're going. And this is exactly what this boat was built for." He might trim the sails a bit and adjust the point of sail a smidge to optimize efficiency, but the seasoned sailor knows that this is precisely how we need to sail to get where we're going. He sees the wind and water as allies, not threats, necessary forces to get him where he wants to go. Same forces of wind and water, same point of sail, same behavior of the boat in response to those forces, but two very different perspectives and experiences. There is a much more relaxing point of sail, Downwind keeps the wind at your back. The boat runs with the wind and waves instead of contrary to them. The ride is quiet and smooth and doesn't require much of the sailor. It isn't often, however, that your destination and the direction of the wind match so that you can run downwind all the way. As in sailing, so in life. Rarely, if ever, do the forces in our lives, family, work, health, our own internal challenges, etc., array themselves behind us and propel us on a relaxing downwind run toward our destination. Much more often, we find ourselves on a beam reach, sailing across the wind and into the waves, all of our physical, mental, and emotional rigging absorbing life's forces in an effort to convert them into forward motion. Some moments, on some days, I'm a rookie sailor on the seas of life, fretting about this and that and worried that my ship will flip over, or I don't have what it takes to maintain the beam reach I'm being called upon to sail. On those days, I just want to turn downwind to relieve the pressure on my rigging and have some peace and quiet. On other days, in other ways, I'm more of a seasoned sailor, monitoring the wind and waves, trimming the sails and adjusting my course to sail a solid beam reach. On those days, the stress and strain of life produce more exhilaration than anxiety. I take the helm with greater gusto and determination, and welcome the forces swirling around me as good and necessary to get where I want to go. The wind and the waves and the spray remind me that I'm alive, and I'm fortunate to be the captain of my own vessel on the wild voyage of life. I go back and forth, and I think that's pretty normal. But on the whole, if you graphed my overall trend through the ups and downs, I think I can honestly say that I'm becoming more of a seasoned sailor. Some of that, at 46, I attribute simply to the passage of time. More of it, though, I attribute to the conscious choice I've made to become a seasoned sailor. Because we really do have a choice, don't we? If we agree that the forces life exerts upon us are constant, only varying in intensity, and the way forward involves getting better at harnessing them rather than avoiding them, then intentionally trying to become a more seasoned sailor is the best choice. In the moment, it might feel better and relieve some pressure, but if we make a habit of turning downwind whenever life's winds blow, we get incrementally off course. Incremental course deviations over time compound into major waywardness over the years. Trim your sails. Stay the course. Put in the time. Do the work. The seasoning will come. It's worth noting that there are times when it's best to let down the sails, take shelter in the harbor, take on provisions, tend to repairs, and rest. There are also times when it's wise to seek refuge because the wind and waves threaten to overwhelm you. Take a break, sleep, go on a vacation. Seek the counsel of a good friend, a coach, a counselor, a trusted spiritual advisor. Hike, walk, run, paint, read, refresh yourself. Part of becoming a more seasoned sailor is knowing when it's time to head into the harbor. Then, again, as in sailing, so in life. After time at anchor in the harbor, after you've reprovisioned or the storm has passed, set your sails and get back out on the wild, uncertain, and dare I say it, exhilarating seas of life. There's no sailing without the forces of wind and water, and there's no meaningful progress in life without discomfort. Do you know what can be especially uncomfortable? Our mortality. What are you going to do with that discomfort? My challenge to you is to let the pressure of your mortality fill your sails with motivation to live with even more guts and gusto and abandon now, so that when the ship of your life lands on that distant shore, you'll be proud of your voyage. If you're uncomfortable, good. Get used to it. Which sailor are you today, the rookie or the seasoned sailor? Which one are you becoming? Commit today to becoming a seasoned sailor by upgrading your relationship to life's many discomforts and harnessing their power to get you where you're capable of going. Two people have had an outsized influence on my relationship with discomfort and uncertainty, by the way, and I want to thank them here and recommend their work to you. I first heard legendary Navy SEAL Jocko Willink say, "If you're uncomfortable, good." And Ozan Varol, in his book Think Like a Rocket Scientist, has a fantastic section on the importance of embracing uncertainty. I'll include links to Jocko and Ozan's stuff in the show notes, and a quick Google search will turn up a ton on both of them. My purpose as a coach is is to help you discover, enjoy, and deploy your unique purpose in the world. Connect with me on Facebook at Andrew Petty Coach, or learn more at digdeepwinbig.com. I'll help you create the life you know you were made to live. Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe. See you next time on Andrew Petty is Dying.